Onstage, Onstage with Tom. Onstage, Onstage with Jim and Tom. Onstage, Onstage with Jim and Tom. Onstage, Onstage with Jim and Tom. Tom and Jim.
Tonight we welcome Schlee to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. Ashley Allred, also known as Schlee, is an essential part of the North Bay music community, and we're thrilled to finally welcome her to this show. Tonight we'll get to know who she is personally and artistically, and later she'll play a set of music. Please welcome to the program, finally, Ashley Allred.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Finally.
You guys. Thank you. I know. Thank you.
You have said that the theme of your upcoming album is centered around being a sad optimist.
It's true.
What does that mean to you, to be a sad optimist?
I got that tattooed on me as well, sad optimist, on my birthday of last year. And I think when I started writing music, I had this like urge to write sad songs. And I think because I always liked sad music. And I always felt like my songs always had a happy twist in them at some points. And so I was like, gosh, I'm not like writing the bummer tunes that I want to be writing. And a friend told me that it was like, no, they have this twist. And so I think that's just like became my theme. And it's just like this, I think, balance of the good and the bad and trying to find the light in the dark kind of thing.
So by the end of tonight, we're going to get to the new album, which has been a long time in the making.
This April will be 2 years ago that we recorded it.
So another overarching theme that you kind of go into there is the idea of time running out, but also moving slowly. Mm-hmm. Do you struggle with that? Do you struggle with feeling like time is running out?
I think that time is moving. I don't think it's running out. I think that it is running out. Yes, it's running out. But of course, so it's running out. Yeah.
We're all doomed.
We're all doomed. Yeah, for sure. But, I feel like it's moving very fast and, chasing everything that you want to do is so important. And helping and doing, everything that you want to do and chasing those things, even if like you're in a situation like a job or a activity that's like holding you back, it's important to kind of like switch that to make the things that you want to do happen.
Do you find yourself like overwhelmed by that concept?
No. Yes. Both. I feel like I get overwhelmed when I get overwhelmed when I don't know. Like if I like when I'm like, oh my God, something's not happening, or if I get upset and then I feel like then I get through it and I look back and I'm like, oh, that's that, and I think I learn each time, and then that loses that.
How do you remain optimistic through great sadness?
It's all I feel like. I feel like I have a lot of hope, and I want things to be good. And I know that sometimes we have to get through hard stuff to get through to the good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I like to be gentle and I want things to be good. But right now, in the times that it's hard. Like there's a lot of things there's a lot of trouble. People, it's crazy. But I guess I tend to lean towards it because it feels better.
You shared something with me in the lead up to this that I think is like the perfect Schlee origin story.
What's that?
And it was something that happened to you when you were 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Could you just tell that story in full? Because I feel like if we were looking at the movie of Schlee, or we were looking to write the movie of Schlee,
yeah, this
would be a very important moment in Schlee's history.
For sure. So I shared with you, it's weird because you have all these like childhood memories of road trips that you're on, music you're listening to with your parent, just like things. It's weird how like some memories of your childhood will be super vivid and then you have to find like photos or video of or something to like trigger other things. But this memory specifically, I was like 5, I'm pretty sure, and I had spent like a couple hours like making these wings out of notebook paper, and I had glued them and taped them and all sorts of things. And I had a friend with me, and I think she was planning on using a cape, but I made wings for my arms, and I cut them so they had feathers. And in my mind while I was making these, I literally was like, this is gonna work. Like, I'm gonna fly like today. Like, this is gonna happen. Like, I'm flying. So like I completed it, and I made them so they like went on top and went on below, and I stuck my hands in them, and I was like charged up, and I jumped on the bed, and I jumped off, and I just went to the ground, and I was super defeated. Like I literally thought I was gonna I envisioned like flying through the house and it didn't happen. And so
did you just try the once?
I tried a couple of times, but I think like the first time I was like really like bummed, like super bummed. Like it's weird. I think I love that idea, and I think I've always carried that. Like I've always been a dreamer, and I think that idea of getting in that where this is going to happen, this is a thing, is its own like natural psychedelic, almost like where you're believing that it's actually going to exist. And then when it doesn't, you work, it ended up, being okay, but I was super bummed about it. I was like, dang, that didn't work. Like, I want to be a bird. Like, what? I was really into make believe for sure as a child.
But you believed in it so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That like you found great power in that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't the reason I think it's an important story is not that you tried it and it didn't work. It's that like the thrust of your belief and like the power of that intention was so powerful that after that you kind of took that with you, and you're like, you know what, even if I didn't fly, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think I still I just carried that belief of, trying anything, chasing anything that you want to do, and do it. And if you fail, like that's okay.
Like that to me is like the origin story of Ashley Allred learning how to dream.
I love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's important because I think that how you navigate the world and how you write your music and just how you present yourself in day-to-day life, like this is a dreamer. Yeah. You're a self-described dreamer, but I would also say from like observation, you're a dreamer.
For sure.
You just, there's
100%.
There's like a magic to how you just even present yourself in public, from the outfits that you wear to the way in which you navigate socially. I
take that as a compliment. I think that everyone should be a dreamer and dream whatever they want to do,
Do you, I don't mean to put you on the spot, and we can cut this out.
Are you a dreamer, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I live my life in a dream, actually.
I think you did too, for sure.
Have you ever come close to the dreamer in you being extinguished?
No. Because of the choices I've made, dreams are all I have half the time.
Aww.
Well, when you live in a dream, dreams are all you have.
Yeah.
It keeps me going. Well, I fully expect that I'm going to come back and skate in my next life. That's dreaming. Absolutely.
I think part of it that helps you, which I don't see as much in you, is just like, this is not a negative thing, but you're just so damn stubborn.
That's true.
That's his Taurus.
And and not only that, but like somebody tells you can't do something, and you don't just not believe them. You give them 2 middle fingers, and you say, "Watch me,
watch me."
And that's amazing.
I don't see that energy in you. Obviously, I see like the inextinguishable dreamer.
I feel like I do that quieter. Like I feel like I'm not loud. But I'll like be like, okay. And then like if I want to do something and achieve it and I'm not good, like that happens all the time. You're not good at everything you try. Like you're gonna maybe there, well, actually that's not true. There's a ton of people that are instantly like great at things. Right.
There are those types.
Yeah. But if you want to achieve something and you're not instantly there, you try harder. And if, that's like hearing negative things or whatever about you. And I'm not one of those people that's just going to not do it if I want to do it.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is like you obviously don't give up, right? Because you're still a dreamer.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
You're X number of years old and you're still a dreamer. And I was
X number.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't ask. We don't want to know. You were ageless. That's an important thing. And actually, before we get back to the dreamer point, you quoted Elliott Smith when you were talking about that story, about how you love that quote of his where he says, playing things too safe is the most popular way to fail. Yeah. And another...
It's a great line.
Yeah, it's a great line. And there's another indie music quote that reminds me of you, and it's Nutrimilk Hotel. And he has a line in his song where he says, I can't believe how strange it is to be anything at all. That reminds me of you a lot.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Because,
I love Nutrimilk Hotel.
Yeah, because you just strike me as somebody who you want to be it all. You know what I mean? You don't want to be just one thing. In fact, to just be one thing would feel entirely inappropriate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm all over the spectrum of the palette.
Have you had moments where it felt like the dreamer in you could have been extinguished?
I mean, I think there's like fleeting moments where you have that, but very fleeting. Like I'm very quick to have my optimist side kind of come up and pick me up.
I don't know. I just sometimes like, and you could speak to this too, Tom. It's like the young dreamer, like the dreams are the most important thing that we have if we're a dreamer, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes like getting that balance right inside of us can be kind of tough. It can make you, I don't know, sometimes push people away. It can make you sometimes act maybe even a way that might seem erratic, but it's all in the greater interest of pursuing the dreams, which are the most important thing.
Right.
Does that resonate with both of you?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, just in my more in the 90s, 80s and 90s, getting this off the ground and being pretty one way about it, and insisting that it has the life that it has. Yeah, I pissed off a lot of people. Yeah. We were doing hip hop, punk, metal, pits and puke and fights and holy cow.
And so this is at the Phoenix.
And I think that's going to happen, right? Like you're going to piss people off or you're going to upset people. And it is hard. Like if you have a really solid like craft of any sort that you're doing, that you really like, you have to do. Like it's like, I don't think I'll ever not play music and write.
Yeah, it's another overlap I see between these two very different dreamers at the table is you both have like a childlike wonder in the way that you navigate the world.
That's true.
I can see that for sure.
In a way that can almost at times maybe be isolating a little bit because so much of the world isn't like that. Yeah. Would you agree? I mean, you probably don't get it now because you're comfortable and
yeah, I mean,
you both have been alive long enough that you know who you are and you're comfortable in that. But
and that's changing all the time too, you know, like, but you do know who you are. Yeah. Don't grow up into a trap. Like that's, what people say. And I wholeheartedly like stand behind that.
And I think the comfort with doing it on your own timeline, I think is really important. That's something I see in both of you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no, like, you're right.
You, by whatever means necessary on the timeline that it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like time's always ticking and we're always like chasing after that. But I mean, you just gotta
keep chasing.
Yeah, you really do.
So your solo album debut came out in 2014.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And that was All I Need. And I'm kind of curious, like, do you feel like the Ash that made that album is different than the Ash that sits with us tonight?
Yeah, I think so. In ways, yeah.
Yeah. What was that Ash focused on?
Well, there's still time. I definitely see like, what's the word I'm looking for? Connections in all of my lyrics, and time is always there. It's always like a reference. So I clearly think about that a lot. And I don't think in a bad way, but I do think I am, I've done a lot of growing and looking at inside from that record. I think that record was more, I was like coming out of like just I was coming out of a breakup, and I think I was trying to figure out my independent, like where I was going in life. And now I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. I'm kind of fumbling here.
No, you're answering it honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, I think, a moment where like the stream of dreams kind of got interrupted a little bit as you like were thinking like, well, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And how am I going to do these things?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this album, the 2014 album, was like a documentation of that. Perhaps like a re-steadying of getting your footing again,
Mm-hmm.
In terms of who you are and how you create.
Yeah, and I think like that title was I don't think it meant that I had all I needed, but it was like a trying to trick myself that I did in a way. So I don't think we have all we need ever, really. But when you're dreaming, you know, you're always in search of things that you maybe want to help, and maybe not need, but like want to do.
Yeah.
Like want to help, whether it's helping or supporting or, you know, doing or whatever it is.
Well, and that's actually a good differentiation. It's like, do we need to pursue these dreams or do we want to? See, I would say you need to, but you would say maybe you want to.
Well, no, as far as the pursuit goes, but I've always said unfortunately my deal this time is I'm going to have everything I need. I'm not going to have everything I want.
There you go.
Yeah, and so working in that frame is made it possible to do what I do here. I always seem to find we seem to find what we need, and but there's so much that I want that, and that's not the way this place works, and that's not the way my dreams have always come about. So yeah, I just what do I need? How do I get that? And then what do I want? You might find some of that somewhere on the road.
Okay, and what about your wants and needs?
Well, now I'm like, I didn't know that now I'm hearing Tom's dreams, and I didn't know that this was like, I thought the Phoenix was, I look at the Phoenix as amazing. It's amazing. I always wanted to be here, but I didn't know you, like, I actually thought you had what you needed, and I didn't know that you had dreams beyond that.
I mean, I think like for my own dreaming, a lot of it is like, what is possible in this moment? Let's use that. Let's do that. And because like one thing that frustrates me about a certain type of dreamer is the dreamer that always has a lot of ideas but has very little execution.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be very frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think like my version of carrying this stuff out is like you do what you can in this moment, and then that hopefully builds to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then from that, you can figure something else to do from there. And sometimes it's a slow process, and sometimes stuff happens, and all of a sudden it's a very fast process.
That's the thing, is I think it's kind of like a slow burn, and then
until it's not.
And then you're like, okay, we're in this, and then let's go. And then hopefully you're ready then. And some people are thrown into it when they're not ready, or they're and they figure it out or they don't. So
yeah.
But yeah, you execute dreams all the time. Like you're a creative force in this town, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think like both of you, and maybe this is why I'm able to see this in you guys, is it's just, this is what you do. You're
a good like guide in people fulfilling their dreams and making it, it's
Absolutely.
great.
I mean, that's how this show got created, for that matter.
Well, I don't know if you agree with this, Tom, but like I feel like as you get older, especially like the young dreamer is very focused on like proving themselves to others and ultimately like proving themselves to themselves.
To themselves, yeah.
And that can be obnoxious to be around. but it's a necessary step of the process. You know what I mean? Sometimes that brashness, and I would define it as brashness in myself when I was younger, is necessary.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like as you get older, you start to like kind of get the balance a little bit. And sometimes it's appropriate to help others with their dreams.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's appropriate to stand next to someone and do the dream together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's appropriate for you to be alone and be on that stage alone, doing whatever your thing is, whatever your dream is. And that's like something a younger me didn't really understand. You know what I mean? Because a younger me, it was like, this is all me. In one way or another, this is all me.
Right.
But I feel like as I've gotten older, it's like, no, this show really isn't all me. I mean, there are moments where I'm necessary to like push it along, but this show is very much about you or whoever's sitting in your chair.
Right.
And there's value in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, on the other hand, like, you front a band, Tom. And it's like, that's you and your three bandmates.
Yeah. That's true.
What you do around here during the day, it's not about you. It's about the people that use this building.
Yeah.
It's just, it's interesting how all this stuff can kind of pyramid, especially if you like, I don't know, let your brain figure it out. And
But the thing is, you can't have a dream. Well, I guess you could. If your dream is to be alone on an island, then that doesn't require to have everybody involved in it. But for me to do what I do here, there's got to be a lot of people involved. Otherwise, I'd be alone in this big old building. There are times that I love being alone in this big old building. But for the most part, it can only actuate when there's people using it.
Well, when you look at your last 5 years, right? I mean, you've played support for a number of people over the last 5 years because that is what has been appropriate. And it's not like you have been missing out on doing your stuff. It just hasn't been the moment for that.
Yeah. I think, I think I like to, that's learning too, singing harmony and singing with people and making them shine and doing those things. And you learn each time you do those things.
You learn each time you do those things, but you also like meet new people, have new experiences, and it's
community.
And you also you just keep using your like brain, you know, you develop a little socially, you develop a little musically.
Yeah.
It all has value. And you can't process it that way. You can't think like I'm going to do this thing because I'm going to get better at navigating life. But that's the end result, I find. Yeah. And you can only do so much. I feel like how many albums should a person like you put out in a year, in 2 years? You know what I mean?
Gosh, who knows? What's crazy about album stuff is it takes time. These songs were recorded 2 years ago, and it only took a week to record them. But then just time gets in, things get moved around or whatever. But sometimes records take years. Sometimes they don't even get released. They get shelved or, and then there's so many good records out there that are just sitting there.
And that's what I'm getting at is it's like, so what do you do in that downtime? Do you do nothing? No.
Oh,
you certainly can't. Your soul will not allow it. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about Ash, the All I Need era Ash, the 2014 era Ash. Mm-hmm. The new album that is slated for 2020 is called Tears.
It's called Tears.
It's called Tears, and it's based on that sad optimism.
Mm-hmm. Happy and sad tears. Yeah. And it's called Tears as I think of my songs that they're almost like kids, right? You're you birth this. I actually feel like this record, I've been birthing it for 2 years, and it's just it's almost ready to come out, but it's not there yet. And so Tears is just that's what I named the songs, this record.
How do you feel beyond the sad optimism that this album captures parts of your current life? I mean, sad optimism is an overarching theme. Mm-hmm. What else does it capture about who you are now?
Again, time, there's so much time on there. There's death on there. There's songs about my sister and mental health. It's a very it's very personal. All of the lyrics are definitely what's happening, but there's happy ones, sad ones, and sad ones.
I feel like the song Yinz, mm-hmm. which you played tonight, is very much a reflection of where you're at right now.
Yeah. So Yinz, have you ever heard that word?
I hadn't heard the word, but I read a little bit about your words about the tune, and I love the words in that tune.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, was that about you?
It was not.
Really? Do you?
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is about me, but it's also about so Yinz is a term that comes from like West Virginia, Pittsburgh area, and it basically means like Ewans. Like, are you guys going into, like, my grandma? So my grandma used to say it. My grandma's from my family's from West Virginia, and she would say, Yinz going into town.
Yinz going to town, yeah.
So Yinz is like, you know, a term that you say. And that song was written when I lost my grandparents. And so it's about losing someone, losing anyone, but then also having them too. And that, or there's like verses in there where you have someone, but you know, either they're going to go before you go, or you're going to go before they go, or, you know, that whole, it's about losing someone.
And you come back to a few times in that song the line, hold your head high in this precious life, love as hard as you can, be brave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of almost like relentless positivity through a pretty dark period.
Yeah. And it's that losing, like, you think of so many things, or wish you would have seen them more, just all these things when you like lose someone and then they're gone, but there's someone you grew up with and there was always so loving and caring and supportive of you. And yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. And then to think about someone that, you know, either you're going to go or they, you know, like we're all going to go. So it's just doing the best you can and loving really hard while you can.
Yeah, what that reminds me of is the subject of loss and all that is it's really interesting, especially as you get older, kind of like in real time experiencing the changing of the guard, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have like a group of people around you when you're a teenager. You have a group of people in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. And just like either those people just disappearing from your life, whether they die or whether just life takes them in different directions, family dying. It's just really interesting in real time to just be like, oh, okay, like this is a life.
This is happening.
I am living a life right now.
This is happening.
And people are going to cycle in and they're going to cycle out, and my role is going to change.
It's a weird thing.
And it seems like you reflected a bit on that in this album. I mean, of course, the theme throughout the album, and you touch on it in Run Run Baby too, is just keep going, keep dreaming.
That's a burning the candle at both ends song for sure.
Getting older, do you think about like what is your role, right? Do you think about like beyond just making music?
Not really, because like Tom, I'm a kid at heart. Like I still feel like I'm so young, and I still have that kid that is making wings and is gonna like think that they can fly off the bed. So like I know that it's happening. I'm not like in denial that it's happening and I'm getting older, but I'm just
that's a state of mind.
It's a state of mind. Yeah.
You don't think too hard about it. A kid wouldn't think too hard about it, so why would you? You're just doing it.
I think I do think hard about it, but I think I half think hard about it. Like I think I always am going to lean towards like being a kid and a responsible, like I'm going to be an adult and like do my things, but I have no problem like getting up and like moving, like going somewhere to like achieve something, like, you know, and I'm not going to like stay in one spot, you know.
Some people would, as they get older, not do that.
Yeah, like I'm not scared to just go, you know. I don't want to. I've like, as far as like moving somewhere, I would like, this is where I have community and my friends, and like I love this area, but I'm not scared of doing that, you know.
Does anything scare you?
Yeah, like a fear would definitely be to not be doing what I want to be doing, and I know what I want to be doing. Like, and I think what I want to be doing is, you know, a lot of things. Like I have a whole like spectrum of like things that I want to do, and I don't want, that's why I never like, I never finished college, and I never like, cause I was like, I don't want to go do this thing. Like, don't force me into this like thing when I want to like play flute in this band that's, I don't know, going to break up in like 3 months. Like, that's what I want to do. And I'm going to like, you know, go wait table or whatever. And I'm going to have another, like, and I'm going to move to here and I'm going to move to here and I'm going to have all these things. Like, because I never wanted to be like, I never had that straight and narrow, like, I'm going to get married and have kids and buy a house and do all these things. Like, I think I've always been just like, you know, open to the knowing like you have a path, but leaving my door open and, you know, jumping into the universe, because I know when I don't, I get very sad, you know, and if I'm like not doing things that I want to be doing, like I feel it deep. I'm like, that's when you get the blues and you're doing these things because you're not doing the things that you want to be doing. And you know you're not, you know you're stuck or whatever. And I don't want to do that.
What's the last song on this album?
Gold is the closing song, and it's totally the chorus is about support and supporting each other.
And is that purposeful that that's the last song? I mean, is that like a takeaway from this album?
I think so. And it's also about like standing your ground too. It's like a support and, you know.
In what way standing
song.
your ground? Like you're standing around in your dreams?
Like
standing
if
around your
things
life?
come crashing, like I'm standing, like when politically or whenever things like I'm gonna be here. Like I'm gonna stand with my friends and like we're gonna do this and we're gonna get through it, kind of thing.
That was her finding her Taurus in her water sign.
Yeah.
Standing your ground.
Yeah.
Pawing the ground and snorting is the adversary, and life kind of heads your direction. Stand your ground. And that is gold.
Yeah, the gold. The chorus is like and when it comes all crashing down, or if it comes all crashing down, it switches. We won't move at all is what it is. And my friends, the Rainbow Girls, sing on that song, and so they sing harmony on there. And I've got a bunch of guest singer. Josh is going to be on a track, and got a bunch of people singing on it. But which is another thing. Like I wanted a bunch of friends on there. Trebuchet's on there.
Beautiful. You've
got past guests on the show and future guests on the show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I really wanted a bunch of friends singing on this album, which is a lot different from my last EP, because that was all just me and my flute and my guitar, and I did all my own harmonies on there.
Tom, when you give advice to people down here at the Phoenix, right? People are struggling. People are coming. No, I'm just saying, like when you are talking to someone who is struggling, and you're trying to like really hammer home like that this moment is not the moment you need to be concerned with. Look forward.
Yeah.
Your dreams. Think of what do you want? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you have an insight into dreaming that not everybody's got. And
that's just because, that's the flow part of it. You know, you just flow. You just, it's, I wouldn't even know how to explain that. I basically don't have much of a plan. I know what I want to do, but I don't necessarily have the plan as to how I'm going to do it. I'll open the doors and see where we're going and head in that direction and kind of flow with the river. And you're swimming upstream.
Mm-hmm.
I dabbled in kayaking for a while in my life, and so it was all downstream. And there was a theory, the most perfect kayak ride, the most perfect kayak trip will have the fewest strokes. You're finding the way the river is flowing, and you stay with that flow, and you just let the river take you. And that's unfortunately kind of I do an awful lot of that. I'll jump into I'll eddy out at the end of the day, and then I'll jump back into the flow the next day, and where are we going? What are we doing? How's it going to work? And a couple little strokes here, a couple strokes there, get along, and then don't do what I every time at this one run on the Trinity River. There's this one rapid that is not that difficult. It's called Fishtail. And there's two ways you can go down it. You can go down one way, which is just a really nice clean run, or you can go down this other way towards the right, because there's this really cool drop that you can take. And I have I have swam that part of the river so many times because I refuse to take the left side. I always end up deciding, usually too late, I'm going to go on the right. That looks fucking great over there. I'm going there. And dude, then you catch this one, you do this little drop, and you come along, and then you catch this one piece of water that's coming in farther from the right that absolutely flips you. And there I am out of my kayak. Oh, yeah.
That's the future skateboarder in you.
Yeah, it might be, as a matter of fact. And then, yeah, I end up swimming the rest of the way down until I can catch up to my kayak. It's every time.
Yeah.
There's one path you could take which would make life simple, but the dreams complicate things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
There's always gonna be rocks in the river.
Oh, yeah, there are.
It's how you navigate through the rocks.
Yeah. It is.
And
It's how you
learning from the
navigate through the
past,
rocks.
yeah.
And it seems like every time that's where I head. I want the loud part, the fun part. And so I
Same.
think when dreams come crashing down, you're having too much fun to really notice at that point. And besides that, you're out of your kayak. You're gonna have to swim the rest of the river anyway. So just start swimming. Oh, and miss that. Oh, damn! There's a lot of rocks in this piece.
See, and there's the optimism.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's the deal. Yeah, and that's kind of that. Then I guess when I'm talking to a kid that's having a point, that's the deal. You just took the right side of the river. You're going to be out of your kayak for a while, but you're going to be swimming down. And swimming down, as long as by the time you come to the end of that run, you haven't broken anything, any bones. Wow, what a damn good time that was, as much as it hurt. You look back and think, and that's down here. A lot of the stuff that we deal with are relationship things for kids. They're absolutely sure that this relationship they're in is going to be the one that they'll never have another one like it.
Yeah.
And this is where they want to be for the rest of their lives. And probably that's not going to happen. But when you're all done with it and all the pain is done, you've gone down the right side of the river, you've hit a couple rocks, but when you look back at it, it was a great time.
Oh, yeah. I know. I look back at like when I was a kid and I'm like, my first heartbreak and all those things, and I was just like so bummed and so sad, and like, and you think that's like that's it.
It'll never happen again.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen
That was
again.
my last shot.
Yeah.
you both are relentless dreamers and relentless optimists. And that's, I think, kind of what we highlighted here tonight. You consistently take that right side of the river. That is how you complicate your life, and you're happy to do it.
Life on a cloud, man.
Life on a cloud.
Floating around.
Yeah, you could not make music. You could go home at the end of the day, and your life would be less complicated. But what would be the point of all that?
Yeah, Dolly, bring her up again. One of the things she always says is, find out who you are and live life on purpose. And that's, I think I think you kind of know who you are when you're young, or you know what you want to be doing. Like, I think at least I did. Like, I feel like I was always like doing things and create it and just like, doing those things. And I think that I just kept following that. I do think I was a late bloomer in a lot of aspects where I was, felt shy, and that had to just be my own path, so I feel like, yeah, find out who you are and follow it.
Ash, thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Thank you.
I mean this sincerely. You're a very important part of this whole thing that we're all a part of, this
Thanks.
community, this scene, whatever you want to call it. And what a blessing it is to showcase your stuff here tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be a part of this community.
The music of Ashley Allred, the music of Schlee, is up next. Thanks again, Ashley.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.